Welcome into One-on-One on OSU Student Radio KXUY Sunlink Channel 112 live from Studio 318 here on a snowy Oklahoma State campus. Logan, at 3:30 we're out of here.
Yeah,
everyone.
Closed.
Yep, Oklahoma State. I love Oklahoma State, but they're behind the ball on the weather delays at times. Last year we came to school, started icing, we left. Show up today, the snow's mostly done, and yet we're getting out at 3:30.
Yeah, last year on that day it iced. There you can go.
Look at that weather
cam
cam
beautiful
shot.
library lawn.
And the flags out there, by the way, thank you to the veterans.
Of course.
By the way, celebrating Veterans Day today. It was officially yesterday, but honoring it today. So thank you to the veterans. Those flags out there in the snow. But I'm excited to get out of here at 3:30.
Yeah. It's going to be a good day. You got off work a little early today.
I did.
So let's talk about what happened this weekend, Reed. I know we don't want to, but let's just do it.
I do want to talk about this weekend.
Okay.
Though, because although Oklahoma State fell to the school down south, 48-47, Taylor Cornelius set a Bedlam passing record.
Yeah.
The 2-point conversion, I know we want to start at the beginning of the game, but let's start there.
Yeah.
Mike Gundy goes for 2, down by 1 point for the win. Basically, there was still a minute left, but it was essentially for the win.
Yeah.
Do you have a problem with going for it?
I don't. It was a great play call. If you watch it, Wallace is open.
Yeah. Wide open, in my opinion.
I mean, if Taylor just puts that ball in front of him instead of behind him, that's it. That's a completed 2-point conversion. And, I mean, at that point, I don't want to go to overtime. And Matt Amendola had already, I believe, missed an extra point and a field goal. So I didn't really want him out there. Taylor Cornelius was on fire right before that to score that touchdown. He threw a laser on 4th and 12. And, I mean, I was totally fine with it. I know some other people are saying we should have kicked it, but I don't like going into overtime with OU. And I like putting the pressure on them to score because the defense had done a decent job at stopping them. I know they scored 48, but they had done a decent job in the second half. Either
that defense was on or they were off. Either OU went down in 4 plays or they forced a 3 and out.
Right.
I'm going to make a bold statement here.
Okay.
And I really do feel this way, and I might be the only one in this state that does feel this way. I predicted OSU to win because of, you looked at the history of being that big underdogs. We'd heard that the team was very motivated to go in there, especially after the way they lost to Baylor. They felt like they could play with OU. And for Justice Hill to go out and for Mike Gundy to finally say, you know what, basically, screw it, we're going for the win. That was not something that we had seen from Mike Gundy and Bedlam. And you heard him after the game. I was proud that we stood here and went toe-to-toe and said, well, let's fight then.
Yeah.
That's not something that you've ever seen from this team and Mike Gundy. Mike Gundy had guts in this game. They fought as big underdogs. I don't know that Mike Gundy, when he wins the next Bedlam game, if he does, I don't know. But for me personally, I felt proud coming out of that game because I didn't feel like we were beneath OU.
Yeah.
I felt like we went toe-to-toe for 60 minutes and at the end of the day said, you know what, you're 1 point better than me, but I didn't just give it to you.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see. Obviously, we have to wait a full calendar year, actually more than that, because they don't play.
We're the last game of the year, right?
Yeah, last game of the season next year. But I'm pretty proud of what Oklahoma State was able to do in Norman Saturday.
Let me ask you about OU. Did this game prove they're not a playoff team?
The OU's not.
Like, obviously, their offense is spectacular. Their defense is bad.
I still think that they're probably I'm going to have to see West Virginia win that big game against OU, and they may have to beat them 2 weeks in a row, which I don't think is possible.
Right.
I still think OU's going to win the Big 12. I think that they have, if they do that and do it in dominating fashion the next few weeks, I mean, they have Kansas and West Virginia left. So they have obviously a blowout next week. But if OU gets into the playoffs, whether it's Alabama, Georgia, Clemson, Notre Dame, Michigan, OU will lose by more than 20 points.
That's what I'm saying. Like, whenever they run into a team that is competent on defense and offense, once they meet like a balanced attack, they're in trouble.
Yeah, OU is not and I'm not pinning this on Lincoln Riley because he fired what he inherited on that defense. He got rid of that. He went with Ruffin McNeil. It may be worse. It's certainly not better than it was under Stoops. But I think that this year Lincoln Riley will take steps to hire a young defensive coordinator, a smart defensive coordinator, and OU's going to get better. But right now, no.
And, I mean, they also have to kind of go after more defensive recruits because, I mean, they kind of do what we do. They turn quarterbacks into corners and wide receivers into corners and stuff like that. Like, they just fill in the holes on the defensive side. And you can't do that if you want to be a national champion.
No, I certainly think that OU's far and away way below the Alabamas and
Yeah.
the Clemsons of the world. And that's no disrespect to OU. They've owned the Big 12.
Yeah.
But I think maybe the Big 12 has hurt OU a little bit in the fact that they haven't been able to compete with the Clemsons. And when they played the Clemson in the college football playoff, they got destroyed.
Yeah.
When they played Georgia, they went down to the wire, but Georgia's athleticism on both sides of the ball got to OU at times.
Right.
I don't take that win over Alabama in the 2013 Sugar Bowl as anything, because we've been over that.
Right.
Alabama didn't care. But I don't think OU's a legitimate threat on the national stage.
I don't either. I mean, they can score with anyone. I'll say it that way, but they're not stopping anyone.
Right.
We've seen our offenses struggle throughout the year. What did they put up against K-State?
12.
12. Yeah, and they gave us 47. And obviously it's a rivalry game. It's really emotional, but you can't give up 47. This isn't last year's team.
No. The point you just brought up, 12 points at K-State. Taylor Cornelius, 34 of 53, 501 yards, the Bedlam record, as we said. Didn't turn the ball over, 3 touchdowns. Chuba Hubbard had that one crucial fumble, but stepped up in place of an injured Justice Hill, 22 carries, 104 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Tylan Wallace, 10 receptions, 221 yards, 2 touchdowns. Tyron Johnson, 11 receptions, 128 yards, 1 touchdown.
Tylan's got to be a Bolitnikoff finalist at this point, right?
Look at the turf of Boone Pickens.
Yeah.
Wallace for Bolitnikoff. Yeah, he certainly is. But
and Tyron Johnson always seems to
he shows up against OU.
Yeah.
But look, those stats. I mean, Wallace, 220 yards. Johnson, 128. Chuba, without Justice, 104 yards. Cornelius, 501. I know OU's bad at defense. Kansas State, 12 points against Kansas State. You lost to a Baylor team, but you played that way in Norman?
Yeah.
That's what's frustrating about this team, is they are not a 5-5 team.
Right.
They are not a losing to Texas Tech, a losing to Iowa State's good, but you're not at a point.
K-State.
But Baylor, K-State, that's not who we are, and that's what's been frustrating about this season. But I'm proud of the way they went down. I mean, they really didn't let Kyler Murray get too outside of the pocket. They didn't let him burn them too bad.
I think he was only involved for 1 touchdown. He only had the one passing touchdown, right?
Yep. Of course, they let running backs run
Kennedy
all
Brooks
over
and Trey Sermon.
Yeah,
They had a field
165, 124 yards for both of them.
Multiple touchdowns for both of them.
702 yards total offense for the Sooners, 640 for the Cowboys. Yeah, and it boils down to a lot more. I don't think that you can I don't want any Oklahoma State fans to put, well, Cornelius threw a bad 2-point conversion pass. It was atrocious. Awful. He can't roll to his right. That's something we talked about with Landon before. That had been mentioned by Mike Gundy. And 2 weeks in a row with the game on the line, they roll Cornelius to the right.
Yeah.
So either that's a mess up on the coaching staff or they have a short memory, because I remember that. Everyone else remembered it, but certainly they did. But I'm not putting that one on Cornelius. I'll tell you who I will put it on. The lack of a special teams coach, which boils down to Mike Gundy not hiring one. But Matt Amendola is bad. It's not the laces. You can knuckleball a 10-yard extra point.
Yeah.
The missed field goal. The signer punt that they allow 75-yard return on. Come on. Like, what is it going to take?
It's going to take a dedicated special teams coach. I mean, you've talked about that quite a bit throughout the season. Mike Gundy's going to have to hire a guy that his job is to coach the special teams every week, because special teams has plagued us for years at this point.
It's not a and that. So what? So I'll ask you, what is it going to take? Because they certainly, you could say
Hopefully
they lost.
this was it.
Is it though?
I hope so.
You and I know it is.
Yeah.
Larry behind the camera knows it is. Landon's over in their lab. He knows it is. The camera crew, everyone upstairs, they know it's enough. Football fans know it's enough. But when is it enough for Mike Gundy and this coaching staff to hire a special teams coordinator? Move some money, open up a space, do something, because you're losing games on atrocious special teams.
You got to hope this was it. This season in general was it.
I certainly hope so, but I have my doubts.
Yeah.
I have my doubts. But you think we played well? I mean,
a lot of, like, there were little things, like the 2-point conversion call, the missed PAT, the missed punt, the punt that was allowed to return for 75, like you said, and just some, like, general missed assignments and stuff like that. Obviously, Justice going down hurts a lot, because I think he was in store for a big game. But yeah, I thought they played really well. This might be the second or the best they've played all year. It's either that or that Texas game.
I think they actually played better in this one
I do
because I
too.
think that at Norman in that game were listen, OU fans always dub us the little brother. That's their favorite term, and you know they've dominated this series. That's not the case when you break it down to anything else.
Yeah.
But OU has owned Oklahoma State in football, but you can use a little brother term all you want. But I don't like it, obviously. But I didn't feel Saturday like they were the bully. I didn't feel inferior on the football field. And maybe that's because we're 5-5 and we, you know, the loss didn't take us out of the Big 12 hunt. It didn't hurt that bad. It did hurt that bad, but I don't know. Am I wrong? You can tell me if I'm completely out of mind for thinking that Mike Gundy turned a corner.
This game definitely felt different. I don't know if we've like turned the corner like you're saying, but I was waiting for us all game. The whole game I was waiting for them to go on and score 30 unanswered, 25 unanswered, whatever it may be. That didn't happen.
Yeah, and there was times when they got down by 10 and you felt like, oh no. I mean, they could have gone in down 40-21 easily in halftime and they fought back. So certainly proud of it. And we'll break it all down Wednesday.
Yeah, with Robert.
With our OSU insider Robert Allen, and break down the OU game and get into West Virginia. But a guy who's, I think it's fair to say he's out of his mind.
Yeah.
And I'm not, people want to make a spectacle out of Zach Smith, think he's funny and a jokester on Twitter, but at the end of the day, he's somebody who is guilty of domestic violence, and so he's not something that should be made fun of, because I think he's not a great person, and I think that's very valid. But if you look on his Twitter, which you can all do, his tweets calling out Tom Herman, and we can't read them on air because
I read them before the show, and
they're bad. And he tags Tom Herman and his wife in the tweets. Actually had a text that he exchanged with Tom Herman, who told him that he was done protecting him, was going to call him out about these alleged affairs with his wife. But then Tom Herman responded, okay, cool, hook him. So I don't know if Tom Herman's not worried, but I will tell you this. As crazy as this is, and I know that Tom Herman, this is not something that's absent in college football or in life as general. That's the sad part of it all. But suppose Tom Herman did do these things. At the end of the day, I'm looking at this as Zach Smith needs help because he's mentally, he's insane.
Yeah.
These tweets he's certainly never getting a job the rest of his life.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, like you said, it looks like kind of a cry for help from Zach Smith, because he's done this before, not necessarily aimed at Tom Herman, but he's gone on these Twitter tirades, and in this last one, he mentioned Brett McMurphy again. He was like, hey, at Brett McMurphy ESPN, I think maybe that's not his Twitter name anymore, but he's like, report this, and then he went on that tirade talking about how he continuously cheats on his wife, but I think Tom Herman blows it off because
he's crazy.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, there's some rich people in Austin, Texas that will protect Tom Herman. No one's going to protect Zach Smith. And I will tell you, Mr. Smith, if you have not learned your lesson coming after Brett McMurphy, then you're not very smart. Because Brett McMurphy's not going to respond because he's crazy. And two, this isn't a journalistic story that Brett McMurphy wants to get into. That's so far beneath. This is TMZ. This is not a real established journalist who broke this story. And he's mad because he exposed Zach Smith and Ohio State University and Urban Meyer and what they were doing. But Zach Smith, don't call out Brett McMurphy. Yeah. You will regret it. So we have to take a quick break here, but mention Bobby Petrino out at Louisville after a 2-8 season. They have $14 million buyout, but Petrino, both out in Louisville. So we're going to take a quick break, come back, and break down all of the NFL stuff that happened yesterday. You're watching One-on-One on OSU Student Radio KXUI, Sunlink Channel 112.
We're there for you. Think of Frederick Credit Union and OSU Communications. Not sure where to park? OSU Communications has got you covered with parking tips and bus schedule information. We'll be right back.
Your future by selecting a major can be difficult.
It's okay to be undecided.
Connect with the College of Arts and Sciences, where your options are endless.
Where you can uncover your passions and achieve your goals.
Express your creativity by exploring a career in the visual and performing arts.
Investigate new discoveries to make the world a better place with a career in science.
Advance knowledge, communicate progress, and contribute to a healthier planet with a career rooted in the social sciences.
Discover your career by looking at the world from different perspectives through the humanities.
Realize a better tomorrow through problem solving and mining data that can change lives.
CAS prepares you to succeed through internships, study abroad, student-guided research projects, and service activities.
With 109 majors, 52 minors, and 24 departments, the only thing missing is you. College of Arts and Sciences.
Connect.
Achieve. Succeed.
When you have a team of physicians and nurses that really truly care about their patients, that translates into patient care.
It's a small practice, it's a small town. Everybody really takes that time to put the patient first.
Everybody cares what's happening to me and that I'm making progress and I'm gaining my freedom back and my mobility back. This patient is saying thank you.
This spring, I invite you to shop in downtown Stillwater. Downtown Stillwater is home to locally owned shops, boutiques, eateries, and dependable professionals that you can trust. Find the perfect gift for your graduate, have a delicious meal with mom, or just stop in to enjoy great spring savings. By creating a demand for local goods and services, you can ensure a place for the local businesses that help give our community character and keep it unique. On behalf of Downtown Stillwater, thank you for shopping local.
Welcome back to One-on-One on OSU Student Radio, KTY Southern Channel 112. On a snow day here, sort of.
Yeah.
We're getting out of here at 3:30. Hopefully it snows a lot. We can get out of here. Won't have to come in tomorrow, but we'll see. But speaking of going back to work, the Patriots need to go back to work because they were blown out by the not-so-good Tennessee Titans, honestly. 34-10 yesterday, a revenge game for Vrabel, Malcolm Butler, and Dion Lewis. What do you make of this loss, Logan?
That's a good question. They need to
answer wisely.
They're not. The Patriots are not in trouble.
Thank you. That's
They're
what
not
I'm
in trouble.
looking for.
But the signs are there. That they're in trouble.
No.
I'm not saying Tom Brady's falling off the cliff. I'm not saying any of that. I'm just saying this is a bad loss.
Oh yeah, it's not a good loss. But you're not a doomsdayer over there.
I'm not.
Okay.
I'm not.
They'll
They'll be fine. This is just a bad loss.
Here's why I'm gonna TO on this one.
Okay.
Are we really gonna? This is what happens with the Patriots every year, people. It's 2 losses. They start out 2-2. They fight back. They have a weird midseason loss, and then they won't lose again the rest of the season. They'll finish 13-3, and hopefully the Titans don't have to travel to Foxborough to play them. Because this is a revenge game for Mike Vrabel, Malcolm Butler, and Dion Lewis. We can't say the exact quote from Dion Lewis, but he said that's what happens when you cut by the Patriots, as was Malcolm Butler, and Mike Vrabel was traded, had a bad relationship with Belichick. They're fine now, the head coach of the Tennessee Titans, and he says they ran a pass where Amendola threw it to Brady, and then the Titans ran it, and they asked him about that, and he said, I want to see if we could run it better than theirs, and which they did. And then they said, Dion Lewis said, that's what happens when you go cheap. You get your bleep kicked.
Yeah.
Malcolm Butler didn't say anything.
Smart move.
Very smart. Does anyone think that the Patriots are worse off without Dion Lewis?
No.
Dion Lewis yesterday, Logan, 20 carries, 57 yards.
Oof.
He averaged 2.8 yards a carry. Do you really think, Dion, that they got you-know-what kicked because they went cheap? No, they're not cheap. They're smarter than everyone else.
Yeah.
It's because the Titans are paying a lot for Malcolm Butler and Dion Lewis. Malcolm Butler almost got benched for this game.
Yeah.
The Patriots defense is fine without Malcolm Butler. Last time I checked, Sonny Michel's a better option. White's a better option. And they're cheaper. This was a revenge game that the Titans really wanted to try in, and the Patriots are sitting here going, you got us now, but if you see us in January, you are going to regret what you did.
Yeah, and just to prove your point about the starting 2-2, last year they lost week 1 to your Chiefs, and then they beat the Saints, they beat the Texans, then lost to the Panthers, so that's the 2-2 start, and then in the middle of the season they lose to the Dolphins. So,
Every year.
I mean,
Every single year.
and every time they're always like, "Is it over?"
I just thought it was hilarious that those players were in that locker room. They were part of this. Do they really think that was a smart thing to say? Because I don't think it was.
No, I don't know if they probably thought they were smart for saying it, and they probably felt like, they would never let me say this over there. Maybe I can get away with it here.
Yeah.
I don't know. You're right, though. It was an emotional game for the Titans, for a lot of guys on the Titans.
Well,
they went out and took care of business.
The Patriots are going into a bye week.
Yep.
And like I said, I don't think they'll lose again the rest of the year. I really don't.
Even in the playoffs?
Well, that's
okay.
That's different.
We can talk about that later.
The AFC is loaded.
Yeah.
New England, Kansas City, Pittsburgh, Los Angeles, the Chargers.
Yeah.
Los Angeles Chargers. Yeah. The AFC is an interesting one. Yeah, I mean, you got New Orleans and the Rams in the NFC. But speaking of a team in the AFC North, the Cincinnati Bengals fired their defensive coordinator, Terrell Austin, in his first season after a 51-14 loss to the Saints. Logan, they were on pace to shatter the 2012 yards allowed, which was, ironically enough, the New Orleans Saints back in 2012. But, man, they're, I think, 5-4 now.
Yep.
Is it time? They fired their offensive coordinator last year.
Yeah.
Their defense is historically bad, blown out yesterday. Is it time to move on for Marvin Lewis?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
simple enough.
What has he done in the past?
Oh,
I'll just say the last 2 years.
I'll tell you what he hasn't done
Yeah.
in 15 years, and that's win a playoff game.
Right.
And they've had a lot of chances, and I know probably especially upstairs you go, oh, your Chiefs have only won one. Yeah, but they've made changes.
Yeah.
They've made changes to try and improve those things. The Bengals just seem to be fine going 9-7 every year and losing to the Houston Texans in the wild card game. It's time for Marvin Lewis to move on.
Yeah. I imagine he's not there next season.
I bet he will be.
Oh.
Well,
you're right. I mean, I could see him being there, but he shouldn't be.
No, he shouldn't be there. It's a bad time to be a Cincinnati Bengal. I mean, it's not all over, but certainly Andy Dalton didn't play well yesterday.
Yeah.
Now, to their credit, I guess, or it wasn't their fault, they were playing a very good New Orleans Saints team.
Right.
The Bengals are an oddity in this league, and I don't know where to go with them. But it's not just Marvin Lewis. And, by the way, they fired their defensive coordinator. Who do you think took over for their defensive coach now? Marvin Lewis.
Oh, okay. I was hoping it wasn't going to be him.
Marvin Lewis is now the defensive coordinator for the Cincinnati Bengals.
That's good, right?
Oh, no. So an interesting game in the Meadowlands yesterday. And Colicchio's in class, but, oof.
That was bad.
As they lost
41
the
to
Buffalo
10.
Bills beat the Jets 41-10. Say it one more time.
41 to 10.
41-10 to
the Bills.
To the Bills. Matt Barkley, a guy who hadn't played since his junior year at SC, comes in. And now if they would have played Nathan Peterman, I think the score might have been reversed.
Maybe.
Where now the Jets and Bills are both 3-7 in that division with the Patriots and the Dolphins. The Dolphins are sliding, so AKA the Patriots already have it locked up. But that leads me to my next point. I've got a bunch of coaches listed here, and we'll include Marvin Lewis in this.
Okay.
I'm going to start with Sean McDermott of the Buffalo Bills. In or out? Second year, but 3-7, in or out? This is a guy who started Nathan Peterman multiple
times. How much is left on his contract? Do you know?
Probably 2 more years. But buyouts aren't super big in the NFL anyways.
Right. I'm going to say he's in
for next year. Todd Bowles. Sources say he's unlikely to be fired during the season today. But we'll go at the end of the season.
Out.
I think you're probably right. I think they needed a young offensive mind in there, and I don't know that the Jets are smart enough to do that because they really haven't shown that.
Yeah.
Rex Ryan, Todd Bowles hiring defensive coaches in an offensive league.
Right.
I mean, where's the most successful outside of Bill Belichick, and he's an everything coach at this point. He was a defensive coordinator, but he's shown he can do everything. Where in the league is there a good young defensive coach? Matt Nagy, offensive guy in Chicago. Andy Reid, offensive guy. Sean Payton, offensive guy. Sean McVay in L.A., offensive guy.
Yeah, there's not.
Yeah, you hired a defensive guy in Denver.
Yeah, that didn't work. But he's having the time of his life.
He's having
Let the
the time
record show
of his
that.
life.
David knows.
Dirk Cutter, defensive guy
Yep.
in Tampa Bay rather. He's fired his defensive coordinator. They
He's
lost yesterday to the Redskins, which luckily enough for the Redskins, they were playing on the road because according to a player there, Josh Norman, their fans aren't great at home, which it's not a tough place to play. It's not an intimidating environment in Washington, but Josh Norman calling out the home fans. But we'll go back to Dirk Cutter. Dirk Cutter in or out at the end of the season?
Out.
Out. I think that's a very fair assessment. Here's an interesting one. The Dallas Cowboys, Jason Garrett.
He's in.
A
That guy has seen something terrible happen to someone in Dallas. Jason Garrett was witness to it. Jerry Jones was like, "Now, sir, how about you just keep this quiet and you can work here for as long as you want."
Yeah, that's the day-old question. What does Jason Garrett know?
He's seen some pictures. He saw someone do something. He's seen a lot. He has to have.
Go on a Twitter storm like Zach Smith. The Seahawks coach, Pete Carroll.
I think he's in.
Does he have the locker room, though?
No, I don't think he does. But I think he can win it back.
You think so?
I think he can. How many years? Do you know how many years he has left?
He's getting near the end of his deal.
I think he has one more year after this, if I'm remembering right.
I'd just get him
one
out
or two.
now.
I think he's in.
They're on the way.
He won
down.
him a Super Bowl.
Yeah, could have had two.
Right.
In that game yesterday, we will mention it before we get off that game, as Cooper Kupp tore his ACL for the Rams yesterday, a big loss
That's unfortunate.
for Los Angeles there.
Yeah.
That is unfortunate, but still a lot of weapons there. I don't think it'll affect their output offensively. So we got, we went through McDermott, Todd Bowles, Dirk Cutter, Jason Garrett, Pete Carroll, John Harbaugh, and Baltimore.
I think he's in.
And special teams guy, not offense or defense.
Yeah.
Won a Super Bowl, though.
He did.
They are 4-5. We'll see what they do coming off a bye week. Maybe that'll affect how you feel about that. But right now, I think he's in. And your guy, Vance Joseph,
He's
out
out
in Denver.
He'll have the time of his life somewhere else. He's out, though.
I hope they don't fire him. I hope they keep him.
Of course you would hope that. Mr.
Please.
Kansas City Chiefs.
Please keep him.
Ryan upstairs, David, and myself, we want him out. We want Vance Joseph out.
You want Vance Joseph out. I don't want Vance Joseph out. I want him to be there forever. But, yeah, I think he's probably out. John Elway's going to make a move. He's shown that he's willing to make the necessary moves. Le'Veon Bell, we reported last week, or, reported a report that he was probably, Rooney, the owner, said that he will probably report by Tuesday's 4 p.m. deadline. He's not going to report.
Yeah.
Which means that this does not count against him. He does not get credit for this season. He doesn't get this on his retirement or his pension, and he will make $0 this year. Are you surprised that Le'Veon Bell is officially not going to play this season? He's not going to show up at all.
I'm surprised. Going into the season, I thought he would miss a couple 4 weeks, maybe until the bye week, to just make sure that they weren't going to run him into the ground all season. But it's shocking that he's not going to play at all.
I'm not surprised because he said last year he's willing to set out the entire season and maybe retire. He's not going to retire, but he tweeted last week that he was, peace out Miami or whatever the tweet was. He said he's on people on Instagram have him playing basketball in LA Fitness. Why he's doing that, I'm not sure. But it seemed like all signs were pointing to him coming back for Week 10, and he's just not going to show up. So he's certainly not going to be Steeler next year. I don't know what their options are, but he's not going to ever play in black and gold again. So we're going to take a quick break here before we come back and get into Logan's favorite segment, NBA, as we've got some monster trades to talk about and maybe some people finding a new team or just retiring. We'll be back to one-on-one on OSU Student Radio, KXUI Sunlink, Channel 112.
One-on-One is brought to you by Oklahoma Christian University. Get your master's degree in accounting, business administration, theology, engineering, computer science, or cybersecurity from Oklahoma Christian University. Apply at oc.edu/grad. Oklahoma University is committed to offering the best graduate school experience we possibly can. Come learn and grow with us. And The Table. Stop by The Table on Thursdays at 8 p.m. to join their Bible study. Shoot Rachel an email at rachel@thetableosu.com for more information. We'll be right back.
In my mind, I was never going to walk right again. Before we were through, we had walked 23 steps. And that was my first steps of freedom. This patient is saying thank you.
You know, these guys who, TJ, Joel, these guys have been here where they were making trades every other day. They had 29 guys on the roster in 1 year, and guys were just getting cut, waived, bringing guys in off the G League and making trades. I mean, it's just part of the game. I've been around long enough to see a bunch of trades midseason. They're always a little shocking at first, but as Jared Bayless says, the game is the game.
Pretty sure he can do just about anything. Everyone knows what type of player he is, and his game and his career he's had so far speaks for itself. So we're lucky to have him, and we're anxious to get him here.
Welcome back to One on One on OSU Student Radio, KXCY Sunlink Channel 112, live from Studio 318 here in a snowy Stillwater, America. But Jimmy Butler's leaving the snow up in Minnesota and going to probably the snow in Philadelphia. Timberwolves trade all-star forward Jimmy Butler to the Philadelphia 76ers in exchange for a no-name, and a no-name. But really, they traded him for Robert Covington, Dario Saric, and Jared Bayless, along with a 2022 second-round pick. Where are we going with this here? I mean, we've got a lot of questions that I'm going to ask you here.
Okay.
But just break down this trade, how you feel about it. Excited? Does it make a difference in the East? This is you,
Okay.
Logan. Just dive in.
I'll start with the whole thing because it's been, I think, 9 or 8 weeks since Jimmy Butler publicly requested a trade from the Timberwolves.
Yeah.
In that time span, they got an offer from Miami that included Josh Richardson and some picks. They got an offer from Houston that included 4 first-round picks. And Tom Thibodeau took none of those. Tom Thibodeau decided to hold out, to drive up the market price as much as he could, and this is what he ended up with. Now, you did not get equal value for Jimmy Butler in this trade, but I think you did the best for what Tom Thibodeau, how bad he made it. He got the best he could.
Yeah, I mean, how do you pass up 4 ones? How do you pass up 4 ones?
I think he actually thought he could get Jimmy to buy back in and they could win games, even though they disagreed off the floor. Because Shaq and Kobe did it. They didn't get along. But I'm not saying that
I get what you're saying, but did Tom Thibodeau really think that this was going to work?
I think he thought it was the only way it would save his job.
Well,
because he's gone. He's gone at the end of the year. Making Jimmy Butler work was the only way it was going to work. Getting 4 first-round picks doesn't affect him because he won't be drafting those guys. Josh Richardson in a pick doesn't help them right away, and he's not going to draft that next guy, whatever that pick was. So he was just trying to hold out as long as possible or trade for a guy like Ben Simmons was one of the, when they were talking Philadelphia early, that was what they wanted. He wanted a guy that was going to help them win right away or just keep Jimmy. He couldn't do either one of those, so he settled on this. But I do want to say, Robert Covington, for sure, I think is going to help them a lot. He's a really good defender like Jimmy Butler. He can shoot the 3 a lot better than Jimmy Butler. I have his shot chart up. Kurt Goldsberry, he's an NBA analyst for ESPN. He does these shot charts that show where guys take their shots and what their percentage is. Robert Covington is an elite 3-point shooter compared to Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler shoots a lot from the mid-range, from the right elbow and that kind of area of the floor. I don't know how much that's going to help the Sixers, but Dario Saric and Covington are both better 3-point shooters than Jimmy Butler. So I think those guys will fit around Cat better, which is what I think the direction they're going to try and build around is now is Karl-Anthony Towns is our best player. We have to build around him to win. I don't know if they'll be able to do that, but I think they did. They got like a C.
Yeah.
They got like a C on the trade.
The Timberwolves got a C.
The Sixers, this was a great deal. Obviously, you get a guy like Jimmy Butler, and he's either going to, I guess it's kind of the same thing with Minnesota. He's either going to take them to the next level, make them a contender, or he's probably going to destroy Markelle Fultz's confidence. I think that's what's the joke around Twitter.
Yeah, you can't shoot.
Yeah, and then Markelle Fultz runs out crying.
Yeah.
But
that leads me to my next question for you.
Yeah.
It's a loaded question, and I'll give you 3 questions, and
Okay.
then you can go the rest of the segment if you want on
Okay.
this. First question is, does Jimmy Butler to the Philadelphia 76ers make them the new favorite in the East over Boston, and as well as Kawhi and Toronto are playing right now, an 82-game season?
Yeah.
So they have plenty of time to get acquainted with each other, figure things out with the struggling Celtics right now.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my first question. Second question is, how does he fit in that locker room to deal with Markelle Fultz and Joel Embiid? Because I think that Jimmy Butler wants to have his team.
Yeah.
And it's either Embiid's team or Simmons' team. It's not Fultz's team, but he's now the third guy again.
Yeah.
And third question is, what does he do on that team? Say that they work in the locker room. They like each other. But on the floor, what is different with the Philadelphia 76ers now?
Okay, so I'll start at that one. What's different for the Sixers? Jimmy Butler, I looked at some stats. He's the best when he's in the pick and roll. He's the best when he's the ball handler in the pick and roll, and he's making the decisions. That hurts Ben Simmons, because Ben Simmons can't shoot. Markelle Fultz can't shoot either. But those guys need the ball to be an impact player. Like, you're not going to see any Markelle Fultz highlights where he's catching and shooting, because he just can't. And Ben Simmons is kind of the same way. He needs the ball, or he's down there in the post like that, and the spacing, I think, is going to be off for the Sixers for a while. I think they'll figure it out. I don't think it makes them the favorite. On paper, it does. They're definitely the best big three in the East. You have three guys, your best 3 guys, Butler, Embiid, Simmons, in some order, are 3 of the top 20 guys in the league. So, I mean, talent-wise, you're good to go, but I don't know. The Sixers have kind of struggled this season. They've kind of taken a step back. They're not as bad as the Celtics as far as not being what they were last year, but they're looking for something. And Jimmy Butler might be it. He might be the guy to spark the locker room and to get them to where they need to be. But I can't say they're the favorite yet just because they're so young besides Jimmy. I would still have to say, I know Boston's been really bad, but I want to say Boston is still the favorite in the East just because of all that talent and Brad Stevens. So I can't put them there yet. And then what was the third question? Does he fit in the locker room?
Yeah, how will he fit in the locker room with those? We've talked last week. We talked about when is he ever going to mature? Him being Joel Embiid.
Well, Joel Embiid talked to Karl-Anthony Towns and Andrew Wiggins. I saw, and apparently from what he got out of that conversation, he thinks him and Jimmy Butler are going to get along really well. I don't know how true that actually is. You know what I mean? You can hear about someone from 100 different people, but until you meet them and have a face-to-face, and you work with them, it's a crapshoot. You have no idea how they're going to be. But I would kind of expect them to be more compatible than Karl-Anthony Towns and Andrew Wiggins was. I think the locker room will be fine, minus Markelle Fultz. We'll see Markelle Fultz in another uniform by February. And I mean, someone out there probably has, still thinks he has a lot of potential and he's not a bust. You could package him, a pick or something, some other assets, and try to get another guy. You know what I mean? Because right now, who do you want in crunch time? Ben Simmons, Jimmy Butler, Joel Embiid, JJ Redick. You don't have that 5th guy.
Yeah, I was
and
gonna
you got to
say,
play 5 guys.
I don't know who you.
So maybe you go and you look for some kind of veteran forward.
Yeah.
Not the guy we're going to talk about later, but a veteran forward that might be available.
I was gonna say,
not that guy, but I think you have to go out and get another guy, and Fultz might be a casualty in that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at the possible trade offers. They wanted to work something out with New Orleans. Obviously, the Houston one was there.
Yeah.
They wanted to move Nene. The Pelicans wanted to move Nikola Mirotic. There's a lot of trades in here that obviously the one that worked out best for Minnesota. Actually, I don't know if this is the one that works out best for Minnesota, but we will certainly see coming out there really quickly. And I'll ask you this, probably every week. Who do you think, at least in your mind, what you know right now, who's going to win the East?
Milwaukee.
Okay.
Yeah. It's Milwaukee or Toronto.
That Kawhi bias.
It is, but I was right about Kawhi last year. So.
Well, we'll revisit this several times.
We will.
The rest of the season. So that brings us to our next issue here in the NBA, because Carmelo Anthony, it looks like he's on his way out in Houston after 11 games or 10 games he played with the Rockets. He's missed the past couple of games due to illness. I don't think that he is obviously very ill, but it sounds like
I didn't know waivers was an illness now.
Yeah, and Daryl Morey had a press conference that addressed the situation, and it's called The Report's Unfair. I don't know how the reports are unfair when it seems that the reports are true. Now, this is kind of like the Jimmy Butler. We can go a lot of different avenues on this one here. But he is out in Houston, it does seem. 10 games, he averaged 13.4 points, 5.4 boards, and was shooting 40.5% from the floor. He was on the 1-year, $4 million deal, the vet minimum, $2.4 million, excuse me. So Chris Paul and Dwayne Wade have come to his defense. They're
friends of his.
It's
important to know.
Yeah, Dwayne Wade said, trying to make my guy at Carmelo Anthony the fall guy, huh? Man, y'all need to stop. That's the easy way out instead of addressing the real problem. Chris Paul said, Melo's been great here. That's like a brother to me. I don't know what's being said or whatnot, but Melo's been great, working hard every day. He's a future Hall of Famer. That's me saying that. That's me knowing that. Well, at least Chris Paul likes somebody, and somebody likes Chris Paul. But it has not worked out in Houston, to say the least. We talked about this on Friday. It didn't work in Oklahoma City, so it was a dumb move by Daryl Morey in the first place to bring him in. But we have a few more minutes to talk about this in the next segment. Yeah. We have a very good little video from Kelly that we want to show you about Veterans Day. We're going to take a quick break here on One-on-One, come back and talk about Carmelo Anthony. You're watching One-on-One on OSU Student Radio KXUI, Studlink, Channel 112.
It means a lot to me. Most of my family is served. I mean, even looking at this field, look at all the flags, and each one represents a life that is given up for us. This is something I can do as well, hopefully one day, that's honorable, that to serve and protect.
Talked to the student veterans, and we tried to come up with a way to increase awareness of the fact that we have, at that time, over 600 veterans on campus, and they came up with this idea to place a flag on the library lawn for each one of our service members that have died in the global war on terror. It's a labor of love. I'm a retired Marine, and anytime we can remind people that we still have our military going in harm's way, I think it's worth doing something about.
One-on-One is brought to you by Oklahoma Air National Guard. Contact Oklahoma Air National Guard at 800-GO-TO-ANG or visit their website at goang.com/OK for more information about how to get 100% college tuition. And Unitarian Universalist Church. If you're looking for a church home, visit Unitarian Universalist Church of Stillwater, located at 320 South Stallard Street. They offer an alternative spiritual path and welcome all races, religions, and beliefs. They're also LGBTQ friendly. Services every Sunday at 10:30. We'll be right back.
Stillwater Medical Center now offers a convenient way to view your health information online. It's secure, easy, and free. Our hospital and clinic patient portals allow you to view results and reports, medications and allergies, track visit histories, view upcoming appointment information, and see your statements. To enroll, go to stillwatermedical.com and click on the patient portal link near the top right of the page. If you have questions, please feel free to call 405-533-6010.
Welcome back to One on One on OSU Student Radio KXUY, Sublink Channel 112, live from Studio 318 here in a snowy Stillwater. We're going to get out of here at 3:30, Logan. School is closing here at Oklahoma State, but we're going to continue this Carmelo Anthony conversation. Where were we at? What were we talking about with Carmelo here?
We had just talked about Chris Paul,
Dwayne Wade. Chris Paul said, he's been great here. Is this the end for Carmelo?
The end was like 2 years ago. The end of being an impact player.
The end of the end. Like, is this the last NBA team that he plays on?
He can play on another team, but it ultimately comes down to, can he accept a role like he does in the Olympics? We always say, where's Olympic Melo? We're trying to get Olympic Melo to come out. It doesn't happen. And that is what has to happen. He has to be able to accept, I'm 30-something years old. My friend Dwayne Wade is having his farewell tour this season. LeBron James has changed his game over the past couple of years. Chris Paul isn't what he used to be. How can he sit there and expect himself to still be 20 whatever points a game and whatever, be the dominant guy? That's just not it anymore.
Yeah, I think that this is you would like to see Carmelo come to the realization to say, hey, it's over. I need to just go coach my kids' youth basketball team. Like it's officially over, at least in my opinion. I don't think he's done playing in the NBA, but I think it should be time
it's
for him.
It's close.
So here's something. We had some snow. I woke up this morning and I was watching some sports talk. So we're not ripping this from anyone, but this was something that they talked about and I hadn't heard about, maybe you had, is that the problem in Houston right now is that Mike D'Antoni is taking his grudge out on the way Carmelo handled things in New York out on Carmelo and is being petty and is mistreating him, and it's affecting the team and Carmelo. One, is that something that you've heard? And two, do you believe that that's a possibility that that's true?
I had heard that going into the season, that their relationship was still, obviously strained from what Melo did to him in New York. But there's a lot going wrong with Houston.
Yeah.
Their defense is back to being awful.
Yeah.
They are one of the worst defensive teams in the league, period.
Mm-hmm.
and they're getting their defensive guy back by Thanksgiving. They got him to come out of retirement, and he should be back by Thanksgiving. It's hard for me to believe that there's not some kind of organizational kind of deal being pointed at Melo, because they got to be telling the reporters something. You know, it's not like the players are going out and being like, "Yeah, it's him. He's the one you should be pointing your finger at." That usually comes from inside the organization. I wouldn't be surprised. I had not heard that recently, that their relationship was kind of one of the keys in this. But it doesn't surprise me that Mike D'Antoni would feel this way.
Yeah, I don't know. I certainly don't think. I would like to think that Mike D'Antoni's grown up enough to reject those notions of the grudge towards Carmelo Anthony. But I mean, lasting 10 games in Houston is almost embarrassing for Daryl Morey and the Rockets, and for Carmelo Anthony.
Yeah.
So they put him on waivers. Do they trade him?
They gotta put him on waivers.
Yeah, no one's gonna trade for him.
Yeah, like what's his value? Cash considerations.
So if they put him on waivers, does he get claimed?
Yeah.
By who's gonna claim him?
I kind of joked about it earlier. The Philadelphia 76ers need that fifth guy, some veteran forward. That's obviously not gonna happen.
What a locker room that would be.
Oh yeah, right. And then Kyrie came out last night. Did you see this?
Oh, no.
He said, after they had lost, he said something to the effect of, "I wish we had like a 14 or 15-year vet that has been through it before to show us that it's not a full sprint."
They do have him. It's called Al Horford.
Exactly. That's what everyone else was saying. Everyone was talking about how that was such a slight at Al Horford. But yeah, so I don't think any not playoff team, but I don't think any contender picks him up.
I want to go off on that Kyrie thing really quickly.
Go ahead.
But we'll get back to Carmelo.
Okay.
First of all, disrespectful to Al Horford.
Exactly.
One. How many now? But two. How long has he been in the league?
Kyrie.
7. Okay, 7 years.
7 or 8 years.
7, 15. If you can't figure it out in 7, Kyrie, then that's a problem.
Yeah.
But he wants to be paid, right?
Yes.
He wants to be paid. One of the top players in the league. He wants to be the leader of Boston. Then you don't need a guy that's been in the league 14, 15, which you already have, to tell you that it's a marathon, not a sprint. If you want to be paid like that, you want to be looked and respected like that, then shut up. You be the leader. You go in there. Don't talk to the media and say that. You go in the locker room and you demand that from your guys.
Yeah.
You take that leadership role. If I was Brad Stevens, I would be ticked at Kyrie Irving right now. He needs to take that role. He needs to talk to those younger guys. He's been in the league, so has Gordon Hayward, long enough to know that they can take that role. They can show those guys that. So I hated that from Kyrie. That was dumb.
Yeah.
That was a dumb thing to say. And maybe he talked about it with Al Horford. I don't know. I would certainly hope he would address that with Al Horford, especially with as well as Al Horford played last year.
Yeah, for real. But that whole Celtics offense is broken right now, and that could be its own topic for another show. But they do have to figure something out, and I think Brad Stevens is going to have to make some tough decisions about who he plays.
What are they? They're one game above 500 right now?
Something like that. They're not where everyone thought they would be.
That's not a good situation. Here's an interesting story that the Nats ownership struck down a deal that would have sent Bryce Harper to the Astros at the deadline, and they rejected the offer. The ownership, the Nationals ownership did that. That would have been a huge deal.
I would have,
especially because it would have been right around his All-Star game in Washington.
Right.
But this is something that we've talked about when we bring up baseball now, especially in the offseason, is where Bryce Harper will end up. That would have been a blockbuster deal. So that interesting story from ESPN.
Yeah. So let's go back to Carmelo for a little bit. Where do you think he gets picked up if he goes on waivers? And if so, who? Like, I saw a theory that the Knicks can pick him up again so he can play a big role and help them lose so they can get Zion Williamson. But outside of that, I don't know a lot of teams that want a guy like that.
Yeah, I think his upside, because when teams pick these guys up, it's usually middle-of-the-road teams or contenders that want to make that extra push.
Right.
Like Houston tried to do with him.
Yeah.
But I don't think there's a team out there. I mean, Golden State certainly doesn't need him.
Right.
The Lakers don't need him. They made a veteran move, helped them win a couple games in a row now. That doesn't matter. They're out of the question. I mean, Dwayne Wade's on his way out in Miami. They don't need him.
Right.
Where does he fit? I mean, there's no way to plug Carmelo Anthony in the league and say he's going to make – I don't think he makes any team better. Sure, he's going to make the Nets better. He's going to he might make the Knicks better. Who knows? But real teams who have a legitimate shot to where he plays a role in getting to the playoffs and maybe winning a championship, no chance.
If he could just – I said this earlier. If he could just get out of his own way – and accept that it's over, I need to be someone else, do what Allen Iverson couldn't do, and take the bench role and just spot up for threes and get rebounds, he could make a lot of teams better. But I don't know if he could do that.
So off the top of your head, who?
Philadelphia is honestly one for that fifth guy, if he could do that, which I don't think he will. Milwaukee's another one. And Houston still. I think Houston could use him if he could adapt to what they need him to do.
So you think there's a chance he could stay in Houston?
No, I don't. I think like that ship is.
Oh, it's
that's
over.
It's too far gone.
Well, it's an interesting development here for Carmelo Anthony, the former Nugget, Nick, and Thunder here. So we're gonna get out of here. Go enjoy the snow. I hope you guys stay warm. You've been watching One-on-One on Ocean Student Radio, KXUI, Sunlink Channel 112. We'll see you on Wednesday.
Determining your future by selecting a major can be difficult.
It's okay to be undecided.
Connect with the College of Arts and Sciences, where your options are endless.
Where you can uncover your passions and achieve your goals.
Express your creativity by exploring a career in the visual and performing arts.
Investigate new discoveries to make the world a better place with a career in science.
Advance knowledge, communicate progress, and contribute to a healthier planet with a career rooted in the social sciences.
Discover your career by looking at the world from different perspectives through the humanities.
Realize a better tomorrow through problem solving and mining data that can change lives.
CAS prepares you to succeed through internships, study abroad, student-guided research projects, and service activities.
With 109 majors, 52 minors, and 24 departments, the only thing missing is you. College of Arts and Sciences.
Connect.
Achieve. Succeed.
When you have a team of physicians and nurses that really truly care about their patients, that translates into patient care.
It's a small practice, it's a small town. Everybody really takes that time to put the patient first.
Everybody cares what's happening to me and that I'm making progress and I'm gaining my freedom back and my mobility back. This patient is saying thank you.
This spring, I invite you to shop in downtown Stillwater. Downtown Stillwater is home to locally owned shops, boutiques, eateries, and dependable professionals that you can trust. Find the perfect gift for your graduate, have a delicious meal with mom, or just stop in to enjoy great spring savings. By creating a demand for local goods and services, you can ensure a place for the local businesses that help give our community character and keep it unique. On behalf of Downtown Stillwater, thank you for shopping local.